Forward. Okay, John, if you can help everybody with the big challenge of how to deal with emotional triggers, your best tips and techniques, because I know that you work with a lot of people who are struggling right now, especially. What are some of the best tips that you can share with the Unplug community?
Well, I think one of the basis of all techniques comes down to one thing, and it's the one thing that you need to survive as an embodied human, and that is your breath. I think that sometimes we overlook something that's so obvious. And I would just say this. I'm sure everybody in this call has said, yeah, just breathe. Yeah, just do a breath meditation. Yeah, just breathe. But I don't necessarily feel that they dive in and recognize the value of what breath can do. Breath for me is an opportunity to go from thinking and doing into feeling and being. Breath for me is the opportunity to be inhaling and exhaling in the present moment. So to be clear, the only thing in the present moment is your body, your breath, and the sensations. Everything else is future and past. So the breath is a wonderful, wonderful tool to bring you back into the present moment. I was saying this earlier to a client that one of the easiest breaths that you can do just for a momentary reboot is inhaling through your nose, following your attention back to behind the prefrontal cortex, exhaling from behind the prefrontal cortex back to the tip of your nose. Now you might think, well, okay, what about it? But then what if you just simply paused, took this breath and inhaled like this? Inhale, I am, exhale, present. So all you're doing, what appears to be just breathing, but in essence, you've landed a intention with that breath to be present. You've also created a shift in your nervous system, your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. And most people are like, para what and sympathetic who? They don't understand the balance of your nervous system. I'm going to be straight up. Unless you're your own advocate and know how this body works, you're going to fall behind. And I need you to learn about how this body works, because then you get to choose how to be in every moment. Can I, Susie, just go real quickly just on that, just a little bit about the nervous system?
I would absolutely love that. And I also want to remind you of the genius quote that you told me right before we got on here, which was, I'm going to reclaim my attention. And I just want to add, if we could all learn how to reclaim our own attention in those moments of triggers and all of the things that you're going to share, I think it's really going to be so helpful. So please, if you are on your phones or on computers, don't multitask this. This is going to change your life.
Well, and one of the things, I appreciate that lead. And to me, your attention is your most valuable commodity. It is. Everybody's trying to get it, from your social media to the news, to your family, to those little devices you have in your hand. Everybody wants your attention, but you get to choose. You get to choose where to place your attention. And I want to just briefly come back to understand, well, it's hard to place my attention anywhere than just the thoughts that are arising or the emotions or the triggers. That's why I come back to the breath. When you breathe into the body, you're initiating that calm, rest, and digest aspect of your central nervous system. If you're constantly in fight or flee and tensions happening, you're moving into a different part of your nervous system. And I tell this quick story because it kind of lands how the nervous system works. I walk my dog down the street, and my dog has the same nervous system as all of you. The cat in the front yard of my neighbor's house has the same nervous system as you do. That cat sitting in that front yard purring in the warm sun with the tail, in that nice rest and digest, that relaxed state of being. My dog's just prancing around and sees the cat. My cat begins to lunge towards the cat. No one was harmed. Calm down. But then all of a sudden, the cat does one thing. It goes to tension, fight or flee, sympathetic on, to protect itself. And then once it scares the bejesus out of my dog scurries off. I grab my dog and I look back. What do you think that cat's doing? That cat is just chilling, tail going up, purring. It literally went from the fight or flee of our nervous system to the rest and digest of its nervous system. And that is a 60 to 90 second experience. That is the same as your nervous system. That's no different than your nervous system. So when you're triggered, you're basically that cat under fight or flee. But what happens with you or us, I'm going to invite myself into this conversation, is we don't let go of the attack. We don't let go of the trigger. So after maybe the arguments happen, we're still this cat walking around with claws on. And then all of a sudden someone asks you to do something very simple and you're like, no. And then all of a sudden you have no patience for anything. And all you're doing is feeling like you're under attack because you were. But you're also choosing to place your attention on a past experience that no longer exists. And you get to choose where to place your attention. So by breathing, you're initiating that rest and digest of the body, turning off that fight or flee, beginning to recognize like, oh my gosh, I can feel my body, my breath, and now I am present in this moment. So I'm going to invite you just to think about that for a minute, because one of the most important things I do with clients is I have them recognize that what's happening out in the world of form, the external world, is impersonal. Reality is impersonal. It's not doing anything to you. It's how you're being with reality. That's where you get to choose. So for me, being is about choosing. Being is like recognizing the situation as it is and the vital moment I have to choose to be with it or react to it. But today's a great day because it's raining in LA. I know for some of us, we're like, yay. And for some of us, we're like, boo. I want you to put in the chat box a thumbs up that you like the rain and the thumbs down that you don't. Go. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't like rain. Got a lot of likers here. That's awesome. That's great. There we go. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Cinda. Elizabeth, good. So there's some reality shakers here. So here's the thing, folks, is the rain is reality, but it's how you're being with the rain that actually makes the experience happen, right? Because for some of you, I love the rain. Others, I don't like the rain. Well, that's based on a past experience that you've had about the rain. All right, so make this big leap with me just for a minute. Isn't it true that everything that's ever happened to you before this moment has brought you to this very moment as you are? Every experience has created this moment for you to be here. And I used to teach, or I still teach, that that's all in your little black box. That's your programming. That little black box has everything that's ever happened in your life, both good and bad. Your first birthday, the big wedding, the moment he broke up with you, it's all in there, right? So what you're actually doing when it's raining outside is not being with the rain as it is. You're meeting the rain from your past experiences, your programming. So your past programming is actually perfuming the moment so that you can't see it for what it is. It's just raining. But you think of it as the rain is screwing up my day. Today was my wedding day. I can't believe the rain is doing this to my day. So you make it personal. Now, I'm going to transcend the wedding thing and say you're at work working with your boss, or you're working with a coworker. And you have a history with that coworker. Fair? And that history is in this box behind you. So that coworker doesn't really arise in your awareness fresh in the moment, does it? No. That coworker rises up, or that boss rises up based on what you already think about that person and how you already feel about that person. And so We get to choose how to be in that moment with that coworker or boss. We can either choose based on our past experience, or we can breathe and be present to it in that experience in that moment, just as it is. If we're choosing for it to be different before it is actually unfolding, we're suffering. If we're choosing we don't want to be in the experience because I don't like that person and they're always a plea to me, you're in your past experience. What if you could actually choose to be in each moment as it is, seeing it for what it is, not based on your past or your desires for it to be different? Well, welcome to Unplug meditation. Because here's the news, folks. These meditations are helping you be present to the moment as it is. And more importantly, you as you are. Because here's the other thing I'm going to take a break in a minute because I know I propel energy through here and I talk very fast. So I apologize if I've moved too quickly, but I want to say this one thing. If you're willing to look at another person's behavior towards you as a reflection of their relationship with themselves, then over time, you're going to recognize it has nothing to do with you. Right? So when you start to recognize that that person over there's reaction, maybe towards you, is a reflection of their inner world, their state of relationship they're having with themselves, rather than a statement about your value or what you're bringing to the party, right? And over time, when you recognize that discernment, you're more likely to be with your boss, your employees, your wives, and your husbands, and realize, wow, their reaction really has nothing to do with me. So your karma that you get to create is how to be in that moment, right? So when you're in reaction, that's your karmic moment. Because karma is not good or bad. A karma is a reaction being revealed to you of an unsolved past experience being offered to you as an opportunity to shift your perspective. I'll repeat that. A reaction in front of you is more about revealing what's within you. Your karma then is to go back into your experiences and see, well, I'm reacting to that because everyone treats me like that. As opposed to going back into the past, recognizing, ooh, I have an old pattern of feeling abandoned. Well, if you have an old pattern of feeling abandoned, it's like this. You're putting a pair of glasses on with the belief that I have a fear of abandonment. And when Susie gets up right now and she leaves her little box and goes somewhere else, the first thing I'm going to see is I'm being abandoned based on a past program that I unconsciously don't even know I'm wearing. So the karma aspect of is if all of a sudden Susie gets up and starts to go and I have a reaction and I say to myself, wow, this is a reactive state. I don't understand. That's my fear of abandonment issue arising. I no longer have to see through the lenses of it. I just have to witness it as a thought moving through my awareness. I breathe back into the moment. I create new karma by stating the fact that, like, I am present and aware of how I feel. And then all of a sudden you're shifting your perspective about someone else that's triggering you when in essence, that person's giving you an opportunity to grow and to shift your karma. That was a lot.
That is a drop the mic moment. And it is so good. The idea that the way we react is not about the people that we're reacting to, it's about ourselves. And that is our karma. So, John, how do we shift that? Okay. So, yes, true facts, that happens all the time. Someone triggers us. It's the way we're responding based on our past experiences. How do we delete that or clear the cache, let's say, and respond from a fresh new perspective?
Great question. First thing I'm going to lean in and say, you're not deleting anything. You're not getting rid of anything. The minute you delete or get rid of, you're just suppressing something that's just a messenger that's trying to get you to come back to the source from which it came. So we want to be cognizant of that. A lot of times you're like, oh, I got to get rid of these thoughts. People, you're never going to get rid of all the thoughts. You're only causing your own struggle. But one of the things that I would say is, again, meditation and movement are two of the most important things that I do in my life. Because here's the thing, like that cat that's under attack all the time, there's a lot of chemistry in my body based on having a trigger. And you can raise your hand and tell me when you're triggered, doesn't it feel like that chemistry lasts a long time? So one of the things I say is I move my body. I mean, 30 minutes ago, I was in this room busting a move, just dancing my body, because I know that's going to change my petri dish of chemistry from that cortisol and the stress from a trigger that showed up today. Second of all, I really love to practice breathing and then meditating. The breathing initiates that relaxation, rest, and digest. The meditation, it reveals the silent stillness. And when I have silent stillness, I'm seeing more clearly. I have discernment. And then the big thing that, Susie alluded to it, I'm a big proponent of yoga nidra. I'm a big proponent. Because in yoga nidra, what you're practicing, similar to meditation, but a little bit more deeply shifting in its transformation, is you're dropping beneath the mind that keeps telling the story of you reacting to the same old stuff over and over again. It's the Einstein quote. You can't solve the problem from the same mind that created it. So reclaim your attention from trying to effortingly try to change something that your mind created, the problem itself, the struggle itself. And most of it is you're just having a dysfunctional relationship with struggle, because you all know you struggle. Anybody here put in the chat box who's never struggled in their life? You might have to wait a while. But we know we struggle. So it's not the struggle is not the issue. It's your relationship to the struggle. So if you're doing these practices, you're on this app doing these practices, you're moving your body, you're building your allostatic load, the amount of demand the body can handle before you go from eustress, which is good stress, to de-stress, where it's really bad. But again, you get to choose that. So I'm a little edgy when it comes to, I don't know what to do. It's like, do your practice. Well, like, which practice is good? Any practice is good. Well, when's the best time to practice? Any time is the best time to practice. I prefer to lean in, though, and I would say morning, because the rush of your mind and its thoughts hasn't come in to tell you how you're supposed to be in the script that you have to play out for the day, and you can create intentions for the day. The second time for me is before I go to bed at night. I do a rewind exercise. I go backwards from the moment I put my head on the pillow to what happened before that. What happened at dinner? What was the work like? What did I meet today? Who did I meet today? How did I get triggered? What got said? What did I have for breakfast? Did I scrape my tongue? Did I brush my teeth? And I went back to bed. I dare you to try it, because now, for those of you that might have insomnia or issues with sleep, you're not going to bed with all of those thoughts of trying to figure out. You've just cleared the day. You've literally integrated your day so that you can drop deeply into sleep. And the last time that I truly believe is a powerful time is what I call cappuccino hour. It's that 2:30 to 3:30 blood sugar drop. And our tendency is to go out into the world of form to make me feel better. Cappuccino, a little something, something to keep me like energy. But in essence, pharmacologically, you have the most important pharmacy you've ever desired inside of yourself. And it's free. So each time that you're doing a yoga nidra or even meditation, you're dropping from beta, alpha, theta, and then in yoga nidra into delta, where now all of a sudden the chemistry of that petri dish of perhaps you being a reactive state that day starts to integrate. You start to integrate the energies of your body, and your body can start to heal, clearing the mind, emotional integration, and most of all, rest the body. So these are all practices that by just being on this app that you can go in and get a 3, a 5, a 12, a 15-minute one. Frequently and more often is the benefit of yoga nidra and the benefit of meditation. And so I just say a lot of times what coming back to what you said is that if you could just take a moment, right? Your whole life is about self-inquiry, asking yourself, like, what is it that I need to be whole and complete? What is it that I need to do for myself so that I have the capacity to be in a world that sometimes can be tumultuous? Well, I just invited you to balance your nervous system by doing a meditation. And by balancing your nervous system, you will have you have a better opportunity in each moment to be present. But if you're not balancing your nervous system, you're going to be meeting each moment with a little bit of the fangs of the cat and a little bit of your past, trying to perfume it to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. So I invite you to continue to do your practices, be consistent, and you will see through the practice of meditation, your life will change. But more importantly, the perspective of how you're living your life will change, and you'll reclaim your attention, and you will then begin to recognize when you place your attention on something that doesn't serve you, and when you place your attention on something that actually informs your experience of being.
That's beautiful. And I love the fact that we actually are going to be doing a light meditation before we answer some of the incredible questions that all of us have, that many of you have sent into us. So I want to first of all thank all of you who are on this call, 148 of you, which is amazing. And we're going to be doing a meditation called Reclaiming Your Attention. Who would like to learn how to reclaim their attention in under 10 minutes? Give us a thumbs up in the chat, because that's what we're about to do with John.
And Susie, can I answer LM's question?
We're going to answer all the questions at the end.
Like I said, continue on.
Well, this is now your moment.
I know. I was just making sure. I was watching the chat box and making sure there was no thumbs down. I like to be open and. Okay, beautiful. So I'm going to invite you to leave your eyes open. And I'm just going to invite you to soften your gaze just for a moment. Thank you for undoing your cameras. I really appreciate that. I want you just to soften your gaze. And I want you to then just begin to allow everything that's in front of you just to be there just as it is. Just notice the tendency of the mind to want to come in and label it. It's okay. Just allow everything to be here right now just as it is. And now I'm going to ask you to choose to place your attention on my blue shirt. All of your attention on my blue shirt. Noticing the tendency of the mind to want to maybe have a commentary about it. It's okay. You get to choose where to place your attention. Place it back on the blue shirt. And just notice as you continue to focus your attention on the blue shirt, how that affects your body and your mind. And now I want you to move from that localization of just the blue shirt to more of a panoramic, a global perspective. The blue shirt's still in the global perspective, but now everything peripherally of you is also now in awareness with you. And just notice when you broaden your attention in that more global panoramic, how does that feel in your body and mind? And then choose to place your attention back on the blue shirt. Just notice what else is arising. Are there thoughts, memories, images, and perceptions? Just blue shirt. That's it. Tension there. And now one last time, go globally, panoramic, including everything. Let attention broaden. And notice the effect that has on your body and mind. And now close your eyes. Take a breath in and just be still. and become aware of what's present in your awareness now. Sensing what's present and feeling yourself as the one who's aware of everything arising, unfolding, and dissolving. And now choose to place your attention on the breath without trying to change it. Just notice the breath breathing itself. Notice that as the breath moves in, the abdomen expands, and as you exhale, the belly falls. There's no doing or efforting, just being. And now, just as we did with our eyes open, our eyes will remain closed and now rest back in a global perspective, a panoramic of your inner landscape, and just see what arises in awareness. Not choosing for or against what's arising, just become aware. And then bring attention locally back to the breath, specifically the breath as it's felt in the nostrils. Feeling the sensation of the breath, choose to place your attention on the breath as it moves in and out of the nostrils. And now silently saying to yourself, I have reclaimed my attention. I have reclaimed my attention. I have reclaimed my attention. And notice the effect this has on your body and mind. And then gradually you can open your eyes.
That was so beautiful. Thank you, John. Wow. I've reclaimed my attention. And now it is time to open it up to your questions on the topic of reclaiming your attention, managing your emotion, and handling life's triggers. If you have questions, please let us know. If not, that's okay. We have a lot of them to go through. John, you wanted to answer someone's question, so please feel free to do so.
And there was a couple of that we were going over. And, one of the things that I think it was Mrs. Hernandez said that, how do I manage a trigger when it activates a core wound? Fear of abandonment. And I know that a couple of other questions ask, what are these core wounds, or what are some of the other things that really are affecting us? And again, I'm going to refer back to this black box that I call our past programming. And somewhere along the line in your life, stuff has happened to you that you've programmed in here based on your survival. And some of these things that are in this black box, 99% of them are phenomenal. They got you in the room and they protect you day in and day out. But there's about 1% that are unconscious. And when triggered by stress or reactivity, that script gets played without you even knowing that you're doing it. So the first thing that I would say, I just want to find out her first name, Genesis, beautiful first name, is to even say to Genesis, you know what, just the fact that you've inquired to unpack the understanding of fear of abandonment and understanding that you have that programming in you, that's huge. That's our first step. Because there's a lot of things in our unconscious program in this black box that we aren't even privy to. Obviously, they're unconscious, but they're made conscious when we're in a reactive state of stress. So our first thing is to understand that we're always going to be doing self-inquiry. That's our life on this planet as a human being. We're going to always have to unpack and learn about, where did this fear of abandonment come into? I'm a big fan of, yes, getting a therapist and making sure that therapist is supportive and doing relaxation therapy. But I'm more interested in understanding that fear of abandonment is actually a sensation. That our emotions are energy in motion. And a lot of times we like to go to the mind with a cognitive label of emotions. I'm angry, or I have fear. But in essence, what we're really missing is the sensation that actually is much more subtle than the cognitive label. So sometimes I feel like we often go to the thoughts about how do we deal with fear of abandonment as opposed to recognizing the importance of feeling what it is that you're feeling, the sensations that you're feeling. Because one of the things that I recognize in my own practice is that I was always taught, that you have to think through this. I got to tell the story. I got to make sure I understand what happened. And yeah, you get a couple of rounds of telling the story, but a couple, 3 or 4 rounds, all you're doing is deepening the neural pathway or that groove. And so I'm going to invite you to do one thing. You get an opportunity to share your story, and you get an opportunity to be heard and seen. But then after that, drop the story. Feel what's actually arising underneath that story. If it's fear, abandonment, anger, or grief, let go of the story of how that cognitive label got there and just step back and say, you know what? I'm going to let go of the story. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to sense in my body, where do I feel it? Where do I feel it? And I'm going to invite this one example, if I may. It's a quick example. Susie, can I do it? I want each of you just to close your eyes for a moment. And I want to have you bring into your awareness the most happy, joy-filled moment you've ever had, the most joy that you can ever have a memory of, or maybe it's the moment being right now with us. But whatever that joy is, I want you to feel it in the form of a sensation in the body. And when you feel it in the form of sensation in your body, I want you to put your hand on it. And for some of us, it's ease-filled, like, oh yeah, there's a sensation in my heart, or oh, there's a sensation in my throat. For some of us, we're thinking about the process of processing the understanding of what I said. And I'm just going to invite you to recognize wherever that hand is your doorway to healing and your opportunity for growth. Because that sensation has been crying for your attention for a long time. So whether it's a fear of abandonment, grief, anger, or sadness, it's not the label. The label is just another way consciousness is saying, like, hey, pay attention to me. I'm trying to get you to look in here. Once you then learn how to choose to place your attention on not the label's the doorway, but place your attention on sensation. And breathe into the sensation. Breathe into the sensation. Relax with it. Feel it. Allow it just to reveal itself to you. You will gain insight and understanding on how right actions will come through you. Not from the mind that caused the problem, that can't solve the problem, but from beyond the mind, from being. Simply being, right actions come through you. And then all of a sudden, a moment that used to cause you to react isn't causing you to react anymore. Those are the aha epiphany moments, like, wow, I'm not reacting this time when they're doing that. I wonder what happened. And what do? You go to your mind to try to figure out why. It's habituated. It's nothing wrong. But what if you don't do that? What if you choose to place your attention back on the sensation, back on the breath, back on the body, and be present to what's already being revealed?
Next question. Okay, so you get triggered in the moment in a conversation. What are your tips for handling that in that exact moment?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to acknowledge the reason you get triggered is because something in your past isn't happy with what's happening now. So you're in resistance to the moment. So again, what's happening right there isn't about, they're not making you get triggered. They're revealing a trigger in you about that moment. So first of all, set them free. I know you're going to yell at me. What do you mean set them free? They're the ones. Nope, set them free. They're the messenger. Now, that being said, if we're going to talk about much more deeper work, trauma and situations like that, I'm going to go into that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm in relationship. Jolene and I are having a moment. She pushes my button. I go at her. I'm like, Jolene, I can't believe she did that. And then I turn and to call Susie. I'm like, Susie, Jolena did this. And then I call Autumn and I go, Autumn, Jolena did this. And then I call Joy and I go, Jolena did this. How many of us do that? Just raise your hand. I need honesty today. Yeah. We tend to hold on to it. And we tend to be the cat walking around making sure someone sees that I'm in reactive state. My suggestion, first thing, set them free. You can do it in verbiage or you don't have to, but within yourself, breathe. I am present now in this moment. What's showing up for me, right? Because again, if you're willing to look at another person's behavior as a reflection of their internal world, less likely you'll think it's about you. Fair? But you're still in reaction, right? I see, yeah, but I'm still in reaction. What did that cat do after my dog tried to attack it? It shook itself off, took a couple of deep breaths, and in 60 to 90 seconds, it went back to a rest and digest being experience, being present to the moment. So first thing, breathe. Second thing, disidentify from the situation, own what's yours, and set the other person free of what's not theirs, not yours.
Okay, next question. This is interesting too, because it kind of relates to that. How do I ask for time to myself when I do feel triggered? And how do I physically resolve myself from feeling triggered? I don't want to lash out, but I also don't want to suppress it.
Well, I said a minute ago, self-inquiry. Ask yourself why you're not taking care of yourself. Because clearly you're not taking care of yourself because you're giving too much, you're doing for too many, and you feel like that's your identity. And I'm being harsh today because life is too short. Like own your self-responsibility of your self-care. Own it. Do your meditations twice a day, 20 minutes, 5 days a week for medical benefits. Move that body to get that chemistry that keeps putting that situation in front of you. Third, be kind to yourself. You're worthy of kindness to say no. I learned a while ago that this is my favorite line, and it took me a while to put it in my neural pathways. I want to embrace some space in our relationship right now. It's got nothing to do with you. I just am not my highest self or my highest good, and I can't show up the way I need to show up for myself, and I can't show up for you the way you need me to show up. So I just need to embrace some space.
I like that. My higher self left the building.
Yeah.
Give me a couple of minutes. I want to call them back in. Genius. Okay. There was another one that I thought was really interesting. Okay, I don't react right away. I mostly just take whatever comes to me and absorb it and take too much time to think about it. Then I think of what I should have done later. I recently realized that I hold on to so much resentment and anger. Is there a way to react? So can you press the rewind button after you've scorched the village?
No, there's no pushing the rewind button. And two, I know you, whoever asked that question, party of two. Here's what I've learned about that is somewhere along the line, we didn't value our opinion. We didn't value our voice. And we were told to shut down, shut up, and we'll get to you. And some of that is also a defense mechanism for you not to get pummeled by more things, either words, languages, or emotions. So the first thing I would say to you is this. Once, when you start to recognize that you're shutting down, take a deep breath and just pause. And choose to ask yourself this question. Is what I'm about to say going to inform the experience of my being or limit the experience of my being? Because I'm all about my being. And sometimes straight up, whoever asked that question, the best thing you can do is, you know what? let me get back to you on that. I just need to take a pause and really reflect on what just took place so I can listen to my own inner voice clearly and concisely and speak my anger with dignity and grace. So just give me a little pause. I'm always seeking the pause, because if not, I'm just this cat attacking. And in this situation, it doesn't mean we're attacking. We're resting back as the cat, not attacking. What are we doing? Look at me clearly. We're attacking ourselves. We're attacking ourselves. And so I'm going to invite you this. A lot of the times, start slow. Start slow. Maybe the second that it's done, first of all, don't judge yourself for not speaking up. Ask yourself, what was showing up in the form of sensations in my body that limit my expression right then? And even to the point where if it's a habituated pattern of husband and wife or someone you're dealing daily with, that's a self-inquiry that you need to investigate. Like, why is it that this behavior externally is shutting me down? So this reality is revealing something that I am supposed to be attending to in myself. It's not about them, it's about me. So I need to go inside myself and ask the questions of like, what shows up when someone says this? Why do I become passive aggressive instead of just speaking my truth? I'll be straight honest with you. A lot of it is defensive. A lot of it is in your black box because somewhere along the line, my love, it helped save your life. It helped protect you. That behavior at one point in time, somewhere on the path, did the right thing to get you to where you are today. Mm-hmm. But now that beautiful thing that you're doing is no longer informing this present moment. And it doesn't have to do that. So by balancing your nervous system, meditating and moving your body and creating intentions, you can be able to shift it, but own it. Like right now, just know that this is a behavior that's become aware of, and to understand that it was a good benefit at the time, but now it's kind of limiting your behavior, and make some changes.
This is a great question, and it's a question that we have for all of you that someone else asked in our list, and that is, what is your most frequent trigger? So what is your most frequent trigger? If you could please put that in the chat. I'll share mine. Mine is when people are late, even 1 minute. And my son is someone who like never is on time. And it gets me every time. And maybe that's an old thing. I don't know. But how do you handle something like that? And for all of you, if you can share your trigger, mine is time. Look at all these inauthenticity. This is so fun to read. When someone doesn't listen, not feeling good enough, criticism, hearing about someone who was killed or murdered, when people repeat their stories without remembering. Oh, I have a good one for that, Cynthia. People breaking rules and not being respectful, wanting my daughter to be, okay, there's so many amazing ones.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you for sharing. For those of you who are sharing, I'll just tell you, when my mom repeats things, I have a signal with her. I've heard it once, I've heard it twice, I've heard it 10 times, and we make a game of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Susie, be playful. I'm going to fall off the back end of that with you. Be playful, right? I mean, everyone out there is doing the best that they can. Everybody is doing the best that they can. And if you give them permission to say that they're doing the best that they can, then you're giving yourself permission that you're doing the best that you can. That being said, here comes the edge to this, is like all of those that showed up in that chat box, the question really was how were you being with yourself when you received that trigger? How were you being with yourself? Were you managed? Did you feel like you had allostatic load? Did you feel like you had been in your meditation and you had capacity? Or did you feel like you were a little run down, a little tired, too many things going on, too many horrible situations were happening, I can't even meet the moment? A lot of it is to really recognize where your attention is, and to recognize that some of those were actually really, really good. And some of those there's some core issues that were coming up in that chat box. So there's a lot of self-inquiry that I would say to go into that. But the most important thing that you have control over is how to choose to be in the moment by negotiating your nervous system, by balancing that system so that you have capacity. No one's going to have capacity for someone being murdered or killed. No one. You're going to have to be with that as it is. You got to be your best self from your highest good, rested with capacity just to manage everyday life. So some of these things I saw fly by in that chat box, it's going to cause you to react because that's the innate wisdom of the body to say, holy crap, this is unbelievable. And rightfully so, but you get to choose. That first reaction is free. Oh my God, oh my God. But then after that, that's where suffering is up to you because you can then ground yourself and be with that. Anyway, go ahead, Susie.
Reading all these are incredible. Someone asked a question about the fact that they go into defensiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So when one of these things happens, and it happens often, instead of being responsive, they get defensive, and they would like to change that.
Yeah. Well,
Any
go ahead.
technique to share?
Yeah. Intention. What's your intention? How would you rather be in that situation? Create an intention. So defensiveness is just a messenger offering you something. You get to choose what to do with it. You can choose to continue to be defensive, or you can choose a different approach with intention. What would be a great intention to have around defensiveness? Because something is clearly showing up where you feel like that cat under attack. And you either have to defend what you believe or tell them that you're not right and defend something else. There's a defensiveness to protect you from what? Vulnerability. Maybe it's protection from truly being authentic and being seen and speak the truth of what you really want to say because you're scared you're going to hurt their feelings to the detriment of your well-being. So one of the things that I say is to take a deep breath, and maybe in that one about defensiveness is to say, I recognize my defensiveness is holding back my vulnerability. And my vulnerability isn't like lay on the mat and get pummeled. My vulnerability is speaking my truth. To be able to say, I don't feel comfortable in this moment. I'm feeling very defensive. Sometimes it's best just to call it out and then reveal the opposite of defensiveness. So for that person, I would say, what's the opposite of defensiveness, and create an intention around that.
Someone asked the question, where's this? Basically, why getting upset quickly gets worse with the passing of years. I want to just answer that really quickly. And that is, our brain changes as we age, just as our muscles change and our bodies change. But it actually doesn't have to be that way. Meditation, and I know John will agree with me, will actually strengthen your brain and strengthen your responsiveness, because you'll have time to sit with yourself and notice the way that you think and the way that you are, and choose how you want to be. Just like John just said, intention. We are getting close to the wrap up. So I want to make sure, John, that if there's more things that you want to add about this specific topic, that you answer those questions before we kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, I want to go back. Two things. I want to add to the science part. That's really, really important. Not everybody's in the kumbaya and the spiritual stuff, but people really understand science. 11 hours of meditation changes the thickness of your prefrontal cortex. Science, which means you can have better discernment, more reasoning, more willing and understanding that's a rope, not a snake. It's important to recognize there's a chemistry that takes place. In yoga nidra specifically, serotonin's released. And as little as 8 weeks, your hippocampus, which helps you with mood and memory, actually gets more strengthened. Your reactivity level goes down. This is just science. I mean, I could do the kumbaya stuff and, but I'm going to stick with the science on that. There was a couple of things I wanted to say. Yeah, I guess one of the first things that I would say, I know we're running out of time, and you got to remember you're the most important person in the equation. I mean, meditation is revealing who you are, your true nature, so that you can be at work, at home, and with your kids. But what relationship you're really seeking is inward. This inward journey is going to help you with the outward focused attention. But if you let your outward focused attention run amok, social media, news, blah, 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 you're not going in to what's really showing up for you. All the answers are inside yourself, right? the thing that it's 11 hours. Who just asked that question. The thing I keep coming back to that I think is really important for me, this is a personal share with you. I just thought meditation was just boring as all get out, and I have better things to do. But now that I have been doing my meditation, everything I do is better. So it's not who you are, what you do, it's how you're being in relationship with yourself in your inner landscape. And when you get tired, you're like, I don't want to do meditation today. Fine, don't do it. Don't judge yourself. But I want you then to assess, how did that day unfold and the next day unfold? Because that subtlety is being revealed to you moment to moment. But you got to get down into the subtle level. That means the subtle levels of sensation, the subtle level of being. That's what I would offer there. Yeah.
Travis Elliott has a great quote, and he said, if you want to know if your meditation practice is working, stop doing it for a week. And I love that. I've done that, and that won't ever happen again. If you want to get in touch with John, there's a way to do it. You can go to johnvosler.com, or you can come to us, because you can actually book a private session with him on the Unplug app under John Vosler. I want to open it up because one of my favorite parts about this is actually hearing from our community, the people who showed up on this call. So if you have anything that you want to share, feel free to raise your hand, ask a question, give us some input. Autumn, I see that you resonated a lot with everything. Would love to hear from you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting you to call on me. Yeah, no, I just feel so overfilled with gratitude for just this hour. I was on I had my therapy session this morning, and we literally talked about just handling the triggers, and just coming from someone who grew up with a father who always blew up over everything. I kind of learned that, and there's verbal aggression, self-harm, and just being able to learn and understand, and just learn how to take care of myself in those moments, and just learning how to check in with myself when I never once did that. And meditation is medication, I always say. So, yeah.
Wow. Maybe
That's
you'll be
awesome, Autumn.
Maybe you'll be up here one time. Is there anyone who would like to say anything? If you raise your hand, I don't know if I can see it if your face isn't on, but Jillian, if you see it, there's so many beautiful comments in here. I learned a lot. Thank you. I'm going to recommit to my daily practice. For me, the easiest way to recommit to your daily practice is to not take a vote. Just do it first thing in the morning before you get out of bed. Then you'll never miss another day of your life. That's how I do it. That seems to work for a lot of people. Thank you, Autumn, for your vulnerability. You're getting some
Autumn. Appreciate that, Autumn. I really appreciate it because you make it all real, and that's what's really important. And that's what's so great about. I want to just honor somebody here, Susie. And where's Jelena? She moved. There she is. This is what just happened. This is the community that we all learn from everyone when they share. And so I'm really grateful that you called Autumn out, made her talk. But I'm really glad that she shared.
Yeah, sometimes I like to do that. I'm going to call Sandy Cook out too for fun. Sandy, you're muted though. She's like, I can't unmute. Jason. Oh, Sandy, you're unmuted. Okay. Hi, Sandy.
Hi, thanks. Second time I've come to one of these, and I really enjoy them. And this was very informative. I have a few triggers at 64 years old. I'm learning that they're triggers and I can do better. So I'm really on a journey to get some good information and some good education. This is so helpful, and I really, really enjoy it. Take it to heart and put it into practice.
Remember, triggers are your opportunity. Don't think of triggers as bad. These are opopportunities to go in. That was great. Well said, Sandy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it very much.
Jason, you're going to be our last one because it's 12:59.
Okay, thank you. No, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Yes, I'm a defensive male. Meditate every morning. But no, that meditation earlier was, really, really good about concentration, because I've known, sort of getting older, my concentration's awful.
Mm.
Funnily enough, I felt overwhelmed when I started thinking so much. So looking at your blue shirt was great.
Actually, I love that too. That blue shirt visual was incredible. All right. Well, time is up. I want to thank you all so much for the beautiful comments. Thank you for showing up. I want to thank John Vosler for being here and donating his time and energy to help everyone overcome emotional triggers. I want to thank Jelena for organizing this. Jelena, we're nowhere without you, and you're just amazing. So thank you so much. I'm going to stay on for a few more moments. We're going to stop the recording. If anybody else would like to speak, we'll go into OT, but everyone else, thank you for showing up and have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you.